Hello everybody, I'm Godot Guru and today we're gonna add UI and touch controls to our GTA game in Godot. Okay, so we start by downloading this little UI asset from Kenny, and the ones I need are 26 right here, 33, 45, 48 and 49. Then just drag them over to the texture folder on your project and import all of them. Then in your player, go down and in the canvas layer, right click and add a new control node, and it will automatically move you to the 2D view. Click here to anchor it to the right top corner. Then let's call this weapon icons like this. Now there are a couple of ways to get weapon icons in your game. The first one is to just make some kind of weapon icons for your game. The other option is to download some kind of like icons that closely resemble the weapons in your game, but they're never exactly what you want. But in this case, I actually found a really nice asset. And right there in the asset library, you can just search for icon and you'll find this one right here. Then just click and download it. After you're done, go to the project settings and in the plugins, make sure to enable it. Now you'll want to just right click on the weapon icons and create a new texture, this one. In this case, it will just be the punch and just going to be completely invisible. You don't really care about it. Then duplicate it, and the next one is going to be the knife. And now let's go over to the texture right here and create a new scene texture. Then expand it. And for the size, we're going to use 150 on both axes. And for the scene, we'll go over into the weapons and just get the bayonet scene right here, over there. And we'll already have the weapon right there. Then expand the scene and the camera tab. And you will want to completely reset the camera. Then right here you have the preview of the weapon. So we can just mess around with the position a little bit like this on the X. Let's also rotate it a little bit. In my case it was 40 on the Z. Then just position it over like this. And if you want to sort of resize the image, you can just set the distance to be a little lower like this. I think that 2 is pretty good. Then just a little more attach. Then just a bit more messing around with the values, and this is pretty good. Then you'll also want to go here and anchor the texture to the top right. Let's also go down and in the layout, in the transform, let's move the position back by 20 by just adding minus 20 like this and put 20 in the Y like this, and it will be a bit less in the corner. And that's it for now. Then duplicate it again, and this one is going to be the assault rifle. Then right click on the texture and make it unique. Then expand it. And for the scene, we are going to actually go down and use the assault rifle scene right there. And it will be pretty huge. So in the camera, let's set the distance a bit bigger like this. I think 8 is pretty good. And then let's also move it down like this. Yeah, that looks about right. There. Okay. And that's it for all the weapons. Now we can save. The next thing we'll add is the ammo count. So right click on the weapon icons and create a new label. Just put over something like 30 divided by 30 like this. Then let's align it to the center. Then let's add some label settings. And I'll just go into the font and set the size to something like 30. Then let's also anchor it to the top right like this. And just roughly move it over here like that. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Let's also just call this ammo. Now click on the canvas layer and add a new script. And we'll just call this UI. Then like always, select the script and replace with this one, which you can find in the description. Now this is a pretty simple script. It just says this little function to set the ammo from here to the ammo that you actually want with the gun. And this function will just move between the weapon pictures as you scroll the wheel. Now we can just save this. Now the first thing we'll need to do in the player is to just add the actual UI. So let's go about here and just paste this little line. What I do here is just make a new variable for the UI and just reference it like this. So we can actually use the UI. Then we'll need to go down and right here at the bottom, we'll need to change this to be UI dot car underscore indicator like this. Then just copy it and put it here too and just set it to hide instead. Then when we get into the car and switch the cameras, we'll need to also reparent the UI. So right here, reparent the UI to the camera of the car. And here do the same thing, but instead just do it on the camera of the player, like this. I forgot to also fix the car indicator right here. So let's just do it in a second, just like that. Then go down, and right here before we position the camera holder, just go and paste this little line. What I do here is just make sure that if we are actually using a gun, so if the weapon index is above 1, which means that you're not using either the punch or the knife, then we'll just set the ammo on the UI to be the amount of bullets in the current weapon like this. And then we also set the mag size right here, as you can see from the weapon too. This is pretty simple. And the last thing we need to do is just right here in the switch weapon function, just paste this little line. And this just tells the UI to also set the weapon and not just switch it and that's it. So the texture will also change. Now we can just save everything and run the game. And as you can see, we don't really have much UI right now because we're on the punch. But if I just scroll the wheel, then you can see we have the weapon, then we have the knife like this, and back to the punch. And if I'm on the weapon and I point it and shoot, then you can see the bullets go down like that, and they eventually reach the zero, and I can reload, and when it is done, then they get back to 30 just like this. And I can also go over to the car and just drive, and the UI stays right there, even if I decide to get out of the car like this. Now we can also add the touch controls. And to start with it, we'll go to the asset library and search for joystick, just like that. And we'll download the virtual joystick right here, just like that. And of course, go to the project settings and make sure to enable it. Then back in the 2D view, right click on the canvas layer and add a new control node and call this one touch controls, just like that. Then right click and instantiate a child scene. And we're going to use the virtual joystick scene right here. Then make sure to anchor the touch controls to the whole screen. And then anchor the virtual joystick to the bottom left, like this. But as you can see, the input actions are wrong. So let's go over and fix them. So this one is going to be move left. Then we have move right. And then move forward and move backward. Then the next thing is to add the actual buttons. So let's right click and we'll need to add a little control node. And this is because touch buttons are pretty weird in Godot. So we are going to just call this one bottom right and also pin it to the bottom right. And this is because if we right click on it and add a new touch button, then as you can see, it's just a 2D node like this. It's not a control node, so we can't really anchor it to anything. So that's why we need to make it a child of some kind of control node like this. And this one is going to be the attack. So call it attack. And we'll also write attack in the action like this. And for the texture, I'm just going to use this little 49 texture right here. Just put it both on the normal and the pressed one. And I'll just position it right here. Yeah, I think this is pretty good. Maybe around here. Then duplicate it. And this one is going to be jump. Again, set the action. And for this one, I'm going to use number 26 and just put it over here. The next one is going to be reload. So add it too. And this one will use number 48, just like that. Let's put it over here, maybe over there. And the last one will be to change weapons. So let's call this switch weapon, like that. Let's position it here. And for this one, I'll just use, actually it was this button. The reload one should be number 45 like this. And now everything is fine. And let's not forget to also set the actions like this. So reload, and this one is going to be next weapon. Then select all of them, and we'll make the visibility mode to be only on touchscreen. And also on the virtual joystick, I'll set the visibility mode to actually be when touched because I like it better. And the joystick mode I'll set to dynamic like this. And you can save. By the way, number 33 is going to be on the next part. And if you're wondering how we're supposed to aim, then the thing is that there is going to be no aim button because I don't think it's really ideal for touch controls, but you can add it if you want. Instead, what I'll do is that when you just attack, then it will also aim at the same time. So let's go over to the script. And right there, when we are aiming, we're going to modify this a little bit. Open a bracket right here. Then copy this little part. Then write or. Then add another brackets like this. And this is going to be attack. And then add end touch. Just like that. And close again. But as you can see, we don't really have this little touch variable. So let's copy it and go up. And right here, we'll go down and write on ready variable touch like this equals to display server dot touch like this. This will just return whether or not you have a touch screen or not. And now we can save. And in order to actually check the touch, we'll need to also go into the project settings. And in general, we'll go down and in the pointing right there, we'll disable emulate mouse from touch and enable touch from mouse. And let's also set the UI scaling. So up here in the window, let's set the stretch mode to canvas items and the aspect to expand. By the way, you can also enable borderless and full screen if you want the whole screen to be the game like I do. Then you can close it. Then you will want to go up to the input function and right here, just place this little part. And what I check for is that if we are not using a mouse motion, then we check if we are dragging over the screen and that the event is not on the same index as the joystick. This is to make sure that we are not looking around when we are actually using the joystick. And we'll also need to add a joystick reference to the UI. So let's go over and I already updated it in the actual code. So just joystick like this. And let's fix the reference to be this one like that. And now we play the game. Then you can see we have the buttons over there. And if you're currently running this on a phone, then it will work fine. But as you can see, the mouse doesn't really quite work right now. But the UI does scale up like this. As you can see, it's much bigger now. But in order to actually test it on your PC, then you need to exit for a little bit. And on the player, we'll need to change this one. So let's make it like input joypad motion because we don't really have that role now, so it won't really work. Then right here, comment this mouse captured line. Then you can save. And the last thing we need to do is in the project settings, in the input map, just go over into the attack and you need to get rid of this input action because we don't want to trigger the attack with the mouse. Then you can close it. And of course, I forgot a little thing in the UI, which I will update in the actual code. Just duplicate this little line and add reload like this. And let's also add the reload button here. So let's reference it over just like that. This is because we don't actually want to see the reload button when we don't have a weapon that we can reload. Okay, so I forgot to also tell you to delete this and switch it to weapon index bigger than 1. And now if we save the game and run it, then we can look around like before and move with the joystick like this. And when we switch to the weapon, then you can see now we can shoot and aim at the same time with one button like this and reload like before. Now there's one more thing I want to add in this episode, and that's health bars above the NPCs. So let's exit and do it right now. So in the NPC scene, go to the 3D view and then right click on the NPC and add a new sprite 3D like this. And I want you to position it on 2 on the Y and it will be over there. Then right click and add a new sub viewport under it. For the size, we'll do 1000 on the X and 100 on the Y. You don't really need to mess around with anything else. Then right click on it and add a new control node and just go into the anchor and set it to the entire screen like this. Then right click inside of it and add a new progress bar like this. Set the value to 100 and in the theme overrides, expand and in the styles, I don't really want to mess around with the background, but in the fill, go here and create a new style box flat like this, then expand it, and in the color, I just use right here in the RGB, just red like that. And let's also call this health bar. Then just simply open up the NPC script, and down here where we set the health, then go down and just take the progress bar from here and set the value to health. And when we die, then go down and just completely hide the health bar when you die, just like that. And also in the texture, we can go into the 3D scene and then select a new viewport texture and choose the sub viewport like this. Then for the pixel size, we'll use 0.001. I forgot to also go into the progress bar and anchor it to the entire screen and also disable show percentage right here. Then back in the 3D scene, in the health bar, go into flags and enable billboard right here and disable double-sided. And that's very much it. We can now save and run the game again. And if we switch to the weapon and go over to the NPCs right there, we can see the health bar like this. And now if we aim on them and hit them, then it will go down like that. And we can actually see the health, which is pretty nice. And if I actually manage to kill one of them, right there, yeah, it also disappears when we kill them, just like that. So yeah, I hope you like this part. The next part is going to be about sound and also the save system. So I hope you really like this one. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.